Hello and welcome to today's Office Hours presentation. This is your host, Paul Hoyt. Our Office Hours presentation is an informal, relaxed presentation. Stephanie, advance the slide for me, please. You got to do that because I don't have control of the slides. Keep going. There we go. Our Office Hours presentation is a relaxed, informal mentoring program that we do every Monday at noon Pacific time. All these recording slides and exercises are archived in our members area, and all of these recordings are currently available on YouTube. I know I've been chatting for many office hours now about telling you that we're going to take this stuff and put it behind the covers, and we did make a decision that we are going to do that. So for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to have access to the YouTube videos and the things in the members area, but here at the first of the year, or maybe even before the first of the year, we're going to take all this and put it behind the covers. We're going to create products out of it and be selling these office hours collections for folks. Pay attention to your emails because there'll be a lot more information on that in the times to come. The reasons we do these office hours is because we know that being a successful small business owner can be a great experience, but we also know that it's tough. You need education, training, and tools to be successful, and we want you to get to know us. Because when you get to know us, you will know that you will learn that we really do care about you. We want you to succeed in every area of your life, whatever that means to you. We want you to find the greatness, the happiness, the divinity within yourself, and then embrace it, remember it, and live it every single day as we try to do. Our passion is to increase the survival rate, accelerate the growth rate, and reduce the struggle rate of small businesses in America. And our vision is to help millions of CEOs and entrepreneurs accelerate their business growth and enjoy greater harmony and balance in their lives. If you find these office hours presentations beneficial to you, please pass the word. We love to get the attendees here. We love to support people as much as we possibly can. Every one of you knows some other business owners out there, and we certainly encourage you to pass along the word to us. Our office hours agenda is usually, as it is today, an in-depth discussion of a business success principle, followed by closing remarks, special offers, and an invitation for the next week's session. And then we go into Q&A, where we get open Q&A and coaching. So as we're watching the office hours presentation today, you'll be sure to make great comments in the chat log and ask questions in the chat log. And when we get to the Q&A portion of the presentation at the end, we'll call on you, which we love to do. Please join us in between office hours in the Awakened CEO communities on both LinkedIn and Facebook, where we publish a business success principle of the day on most days and an energy of the day posting every day on Facebook. And today celebrates the start of the 4th year of me publishing an energy of the day message every single morning on Facebook. For 1,097 days in a row, every single morning I've gotten up and tried to say something inspirational or insightful. And if you don't have a daily discipline where you're getting up in the morning and you are doing something to put yourself in a positive mood and something to contribute to society, I strongly urge you to do that because it's been really great for me. It's very empowering to have a daily discipline like that. Today's office hours is a special one. This is going to be the easiest office hours I have ever done in my life because I'm not doing it. So Stephanie May, my right-hand gal for the last 2.5 years or so, is going to be delivering today's office hours presentation on creating money-making event. She has helped create, fine-tune, and manage and produce over 150 events in the last 10 years, since 2006. She was part of a team in creating a series of events that earned the company a place in the Inc. 500's fastest growing companies list 3 years in a row. She takes something that's absolutely overwhelming to most of us and turns it into a fun, smooth, is still kind of production event, so systemized that nobody's aware that little feet of the ducks are like going like crazy behind the scenes. Don't you just love it when you go to a well-oiled event? And it's because people with great experience have worked a tremendous amount in preparing for that event. And Stephanie is one of those fantastic people who can help with your event. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Stephanie, and She's going to teach us all about creating money-making events. Over to you, Steph.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. How's it going? Thanks, Paul. I love doing events. I have done quite a few of them over the years, and they are something that you either have the reaction, we're going to do an event, instead of the, oh my goodness, we're going to have an event. So hopefully this presentation will help you be in the former group. The key performance areas for the events, Paul, I think the events are in product development. I firmly believe that an event is one of your products and needs to be monitored, managed, and taken care of, just like all the rest of your products. In the Awaken CEO system, we have our 3 levels of performance that we integrate with the business, professional, and personal growth. And the events really are part of your methods, part in your business growth and your professional growth. Events can have a wide-ranging effect on your business and your professional. And momentum really helps you gain your momentum in your business and in your growth as a speaker and a leader of your company and in your personal life as well. Excuse me. The agenda for today, we're going to talk about event benefits. We're going to talk about event resources. What does it take to put on an event? We're going to talk about the different type of events that there are. We're going to talk about why should you even have an event? What's the purpose? What are you going to get out of it? And we're going to talk about event as a product and what does that mean to you and your business. We're going to talk about the 3 different stages of event planning. Piece of cake, don't panic. And then we're going to talk about lessons learned and what that means when you're running an event. And then we'll look at the bottom line. Just what can an event do to you and your business? All right. Let's have an event. I'll tell you, when Paul and I chatted about doing a presentation in office hours about an event, I got so excited, and one of the first things that came out of my mouth was, oh my gosh, how am I going to cram all those years of experience into just 20 minutes and how many slides? So I really was careful on watching how many slides I put in here just so that I wouldn't talk too much. We'll see if I'm successful. The first response truly is, let's have an event. Awesome. And events can provide a myriad of amazing, so many different opportunities. It's really fantastic. They are one of the best mediums for building those one-on-one personal connections with your target market, with people of influence that you have come to an event, with your team, with your advisors. An event can do so much for building those personal connections. Tons of fun for the audience and the team. I know that when I did an event, I loaded up my computer with my music playlist, and I blared that music from 5 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, just dancing away in the event room. So we used to have team meetings. We'd have parties with the audience and your attendees after the event. There can be so much fun, so much energy and synergy happening there. And they are a phenomenal environment for learning and for sales. Sales is not a bad word. It's an awesome thing. It's one of the reasons why most of us want to have an event. So creating the perfect environment to make that happen can be done in an event. The other side of the coin there is, oh my gosh, we're having an event. Who's going to do all that work and how are we going to do it? It requires many hours of detail-oriented preparation. The speaker, your VIPs and your guests, they have presentations to create and practice and memorize. You've got team members doing all the work and getting the printing done and buying the equipment and the supplies and making sure that the venue is working right. It is a complete team effort, and it's going to affect almost every key performance area in your business, and almost every function in your company will have something to do with that event. It can be very costly. Equipment, lost man hours and productivity issues, all kinds of things can go into the cost of having that event that sometimes we don't always think about when you're talking about having an event. There are a lot of kinds of events. I'm just going to go over the short list for you here. For the business focus, there's workshops and educational training, seminars, brand building, team building, sales presentations, management meetings. I know that I once did an event for a board of directors. There were only 12 people at the meeting, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be a piece of cake. And so I put a bid in for the job, and I ended up losing my shirt, as they say, because I just totally underestimated the amount of time it was going to take for just those 12 people. All the special printing and the special meals and just being almost a personal assistant to 12 very important people from across the country took so much time. Industry focused, conventions, trade shows, more education and training. You'll find a lot of your tech companies and other industries that come together X amount of times a year to learn about the new gadget, the new technology, new software, that kind of thing. Consumer focused, fairs, carnivals, stage shows. I remember when I was helping the kids at the school put on the holiday pageants. I was trying to think of what that word is, and I could not believe how much work it took to put on those things. So it doesn't really matter if you're helping the kids or board of directors. That focus and that work is going to be there. Before you do an event, and this is something that I learned the hard way, you always want to start with the why. What is the purpose? Why are we here? If you're going to do all that work, you're going to put all that money and effort and resources into this phenomenal opportunity. Why are we doing it? It's a busy world. Your attendees are going to be busy too, so you have to be clear on why you want somebody to leave their home, travel across town, travel across country, get on a plane, get in Saturday heavy-duty traffic. Why should I come and join you? And will the ends justify the means? By the time all is said and done, are you going to recoup your cost in some way to make that event worthwhile? Are you going to be able to offer more to your audience at the end of the event? Because if you've done your job right, at the end of the event, your attendees are going to want more. If you've done your job, if they like you and if they trust you, they're going to want to work with you more. They want to know what's next. How can you help me more? An event is a product, and it's an important part of your product funnel. It's integrated with your sales and your marketing funnels. It can be a product that you go to this small event and I'm going to get you into my next event, and then that one's going to get you into my mastermind program. So it is part of all of your different offerings. It can and it will transform over time. You can bet your booties on that. Your customer experiences will give you the feedback that you want and that you need to make changes in the event to make it more impactful and more worthwhile. The intention and purpose of the event can change as you go through, as you finesse and fine-tune that product. The different pieces of that product change also. Your sales results, if they're good, are they bad, are they fantastic? They will help you finesse and create an event that works fantastic for your business in just the right way. Your team inputs. Sometimes the CEO or some head of the company are the ones who are in front of the room and doing most of the work at the event on front of the stage. Sometimes there comes a time where they want to pull back and they want to bring somebody else in to do the main speaking and take that part over. People leave in companies and new people come in. So the different personnel and the different inputs into the event will give you a reason to transform and finesse that event and make it more impactful. There are basically 3 different stages of event management, and I say plan it all out. This is where your checklists and your manuals and to-do lists and all your project management really comes into play. So there are 3 stages: the pre-event, the event real-time, and the post-event. The pre-event typically starts from the minute somebody says, I want to have an event. You get your notebook out and you start writing notes, and you make sure that everything that's going on you're keeping track of so that you know where you've been and where you're going. All the way up until the time where you open the doors is basically that pre-event, setting up the stage, getting everything ready. The event real-time, of course, is the actual event itself. And then there's the post-event. And a lot of people I've worked with in the past kind of forget about this piece, but there's fulfillment to take care of, there's emails to be sent out, there's additional sales and marketing functions and processes that typically take place after an event. So it's not just we close the doors and put all the equipment away and we're done till the next time. Again, the pre-event, you want to start with the parameters, get clear again, why are we doing this? What are your product offerings? What do you need to get the sales done to where you want it to go? What support team's going to be there? My speakers, my vendors, my sponsors, all of that kind of information you want to start taking care of and keeping track of. Marketing takes time to put people in seats. And I've had this discussion, and it's been proven time after time after time. It takes 30 to 90 days to put, as I say, butts in seats for an event. Now those people in the seats aren't the same as your buying units, right? So you want to make sure that you're considering, if I have a couple that's coming to the event, but they may only purchase one program or one product, right? So you want to keep track of those, the people in your seats. Attendee communication and registration. Lots of emails, lots of phone calls. You got to make sure that people that register actually show up at your gig. You got to determine the location, the travel, the budgets, the speaker needs, the equipment, the materials, and all those other resources. It's tiring me out just thinking about it. It's got to have a drink of water here. Piece of cake when you have your checklist, so get your checklist out, guys. And always remember the why. Always remember why you're doing this. Everything you should do should answer that why. And I've learned that truly over 95% of all the mishaps that happens at an event can be taken care of prior to the event, given that you've done your prep work. If you've got the right execution, the right planning in place, you've got it made. Event real time, setting up and tearing down, so much fun. Make sure you got lots of bodies to help you, and make sure you're not wearing a dress. Team, speaker, VIP, attendee support processes, helping your team, helping your speakers. Maybe the speaker needs a glass of water. Is that presentation loaded? Are the techie and your microphone setups everything good to go? Your AV and your technical needs at an event can be some of your what's the word? It cannot be fun. Make sure you have a good techie on your team. Meals, breaks, materials, distribution, cleaning up. Do you have somebody to help you pass out those handouts? Are you've got your meals taken care of for your team and your attendees? Your sales processes, event exercises. Do you have the equipment you need to do the real-time exercises that you plan for the event? Does your sales team have what they need in order to be successful and give you the numbers that you want? Emergencies. I've only had a couple of them, but it only takes one guy to fall down in your room and have a heart attack there before you recognize that stuff happens. So make sure that you've had the conversations with the people on your team, at the hotel, wherever it is that you are, that if you do have an emergency, you know what to do. And be present. You are at the event. You've done a lot of work to get there. When you're there, be present. Put your emails away, put your cell phones away. When you're with your target market, you're in the room with all these incredible people creating all this fantastic synergy. Be present and do what it is that you came to do. Post-event. Compile your metrics. Closing ratios. What were your sales numbers? What were the cost of goods? Was your event profitable? You know how to do it. If you don't, Paul does it better than anybody else. He's the bomb. Sales, customer service, product fulfillment, all those pieces have to be taken care of after the event. Your customer service in an event is one of the most important wheels that keep that thing moving. It's your customer service people that make the phone calls to make sure that somebody's going to show up at the event. They call after the event to see to do the surveys or to get their feedback and to fulfill the product. So keep your customer service individuals and your team members enrolled and communicated with. Marketing and attendee communication, enough said. Team meeting. You always want to have a team meeting after the event so that you can touch base and go over what worked, what didn't work. Again, lessons learned. Review the metrics. Was it worth it? You know, sometimes you're not there for sales. Sometimes you're there to build the brand. Sometimes you're there to create serious relationships with people of influence. So whatever the purpose was it worth it? Do my metrics prove that all that work we did, was it worth it? Can expenses be lowered? Should the budget be increased? Look at the results and ask yourself those questions. What worked? What didn't work? And how can it be improved? How can you add more value? And I always like to look at what are the top 2 or 3 things that I can address for the next time that's going to provide the biggest impact on the overall results. Obviously, you will learn a lot every time you do an event, and you'll probably have 3 or 4 pages of notes that you've taken over the weekend. Next time, remember this. Next time, remember that. Next time, don't do this. But you have to make sure that, that you're looking at the top 2 or 3 things that are really going to give you the biggest impact. The bottom line, events can provide so many benefits to your business and to your cash flow and to you as a speaker and a person of influence. When you're in front of the room facilitating this event, you are, I hate to say this word, but you're like the you're not the God, but you are the person. You're the bomb up there, right? People look to you as the expert. That gives you an incredible opportunity to build that platform and that portal for yourself. And events as product, they've got to be monitored. You've got to finesse them. You've got to do your metrics. You have to continue to be flexible so that you can get the results and the numbers that you want from them. And it requires a team effort, a project management mindset, lots of checklists, and a wide range of resources in order to make them happen. Oh, and don't forget the massage and the foot rub after the end. And the why. Everything you do in planning, executing, and after the event should be done with primarily one goal in mind, to satisfy the why. Why are we here? Why are we doing the event? And again, the Awaken CEO system. I think that's it for me, Paul. Are you still there?
I am still here, but I was on mute. But I've seen somebody do that before in my past. So with the Awaken CEO system, we always relate the subject matter of the day to the different levels of growth and the different areas of growth too. So today we were really talking primarily about methods, for growing your business. One of the key methods of growing your business is the events itself. So it becomes a method that you can use, and the whole event planning strategy that Stephanie was talking about is really is a method in itself as well. And it does take professional growth. If you have not been one of the planning key people at your companies in planning event, then you do have a lot to learn. To learn about how to accurately and how to most appropriately plan for the events and then manage the events and do the the post-event briefings and debriefings are really, really important. And we encourage you to get into momentum. If you've got any sort of thoughts about what sort of events that you would like to do, get into momentum. Begin to write down your ideas about the where and the when and the how and all of that stuff, and give us a call, because Stephanie is an absolute expert when it comes to event management. We'd love to talk to you about how we can support you in that way. Stephanie, do you have other slides? Oops, these were, apparently we didn't quite get these slides completed here. So why don't we bail out of that and just go back to the agenda here. Thank you.
So the agenda today, we did talk about the event benefits, phenomenal way to build your personal connections and make money. We talked about the event resources. We talked about the different event types, the business, the personal, and the industry types. The purpose, always have a purpose and remember the why. An event isn't a product, don't forget. The 3 phases of event planning: pre-event, event real-time, and post-event. Your lessons learned, always lessons learned. And the bottom line, always what's the bottom line with your event. Your homework and your exercises here. Review your reasons for starting, growing, and staying in business. Reflect upon them and dig deep, as Paul says.
Stephanie, I think that these are left over from a previous presentation here. So let's go actually go into the questions and answer here if we can. Sorry about that last slide there, but let's jump in and talk about questions with regards to event management first, and we can open it up and talk about anything else that you want to talk about as well. But we do have some questions that came in, some by email and some at the chat log here. So let me just ask you a question or two, Steffi, about events. Are you ready?
I am.
Awesome. What about virtual events? I mean, we see live events too, but live events, you got to jump on an airplane and go somewhere. And what about virtual events? How do they relate to what you have just talked about?
I think that virtual events, I've done a couple of them. I think they are amazing, and I see a lot of companies doing more and more of them. There's a trend, people are talking about telesummits, where you get 15 or 20 speakers over the course of several days and have them come in and do their thing and sell something out of the back end. I think virtual events are amazing. I think that they are also not in-person events, so they have their place. You have to work a little bit harder, though, in establishing that one-on-one connection with virtual events. So if you've got 100 people on the call, it can be a little bit of a challenge to create that bond that you do get in the real world, face-to-face events. So I love virtual events. I think that they've got a phenomenal place, and that a lot of companies are moving to them and using them in their funnel. I think that they can be amazing. Just be careful if they address the why. Are they going to meet all the requirements that you want from your event? Yep.
Awesome. Quick follow-up question for 10 points. It would seem like virtual events just take a lot less time and money to plan and to pull off too. Generally, if I were going to do a one-day, virtual webinar, teaching something online versus doing it, in a physical location, what would be the cost difference in doing that?
Ooh, I think that you would save tons of money from the event, you'll save the money from the venue. You won't have to pay the venue. You don't have to pay for meals. There's travel. So from the cost perspective, you're going to save a lot. You'll save most of your money because you won't have those expenses. On the reverse side, I would just recommend that you look at sales out of the back end. Are your numbers as good from the virtual event as they are from the in-person event? That would take some testing, and I imagine it would take a much more in-depth conversation. But absolutely, virtual events are much cheaper, mega much cheaper. Yep.
Yeah, I like it. Here's another question here.
That helps you.
Somebody, yeah, it was really great. Somebody writes in and says, I've got access to some great space 20 miles outside of town in a nice residential area and can save a lot of money with room rental rates. You know, and I assume that they are thinking about doing an event at someone's home or somebody's, you know, somebody's place that's really not a hotel. You know, can you give me some advice for what you might do next?
Mm-hmm. Um, there are a lot of different places where you can host event. Hotels are not the only ones. There's convention centers, and you'll find a lot of boutique hotels, and office buildings have space. There are lots of options for hosting an event. What I will tell you is, well, there's a couple of things I'll tell you. Number one, really look at the purpose of the event. Typically for your business attendees versus the, the events focused on the personal, you know, the fairs and the carnivals and that kind of thing, you really want to take a look at the offset. For in other words, do your attendees have to rent a car? Are there restaurants and enough food around so that they can get something to eat? Or are you going to be responsible for taking care of all that food? How are your attendees going to get back and forth? How far away is it from the airport? Are there shuttles? Are there rental cars? Is transportation going to be taken care of? Where are they going to sleep? If it's more than one day, if it's a 2 or 3 day, do you have options for their accommodations? So sometimes you have these beautiful spaces that provide phenomenal benefits and opportunities for you, but they're so far away from the other amenities that somebody's going to have to do that work in order to pick that up. If you have it in a residential area, will somebody on your team have to go to the airport and pick people up? Are they going to have to be driving people back and forth to hotels at the end of the day? So you just want to look at those things and try to juggle it and see, is it going to affect your event, and in what ways, how is it going to affect? You'll find, I think, for a lot of personal, and some businesses have a lot of retreats and those kind of things where you'll have the need for the quiet and for that type of environment. And so if it's that type of an event, of course, those type of environments are perfect for those kind of things. So again, you really want to look at your why and take a look at all the moving pieces that you're going to have to take care of for that event, and then start deciding if the space is going to be able to accommodate my needs, and if not, how else am I going to take care of those needs? Does that answer your question? Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I think that that's really good, and I really like what you said again, is really start with the why. You know, let us know why are you doing it, what do you want the outcome for the attendees to be, and then kind of match the venue to the purpose of the event, and you know, make them really align with that why. I would think, for example, if you're selling a $100,000 masterminding session at the end of it, that you don't want to hold the event at a Motel 6, because it's not going to be energetically consistent with the goals and the objectives of the event itself. And likewise, you know, if you're selling products that are $500 or $1,000 on the other side, you may not want to go to a DoubleTree or a Marriott, because the expenses of the hotel are not going to be consistent with the people who you're asking to come to the event in the first place. Mm-hmm. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I got another question for you. So I want to do a 3-day event in March of next year. That's like 3.5, 4 months away. You know, generally speaking, what's a range of expenses for, you know, having somebody on my team who can help manage the event, first of all, and then the event itself? What should I think about putting up? Is this going to cost me $100,000 or $5,000, or what's kind of the range?
For a 3-day event at a hotel?
Yeah.
So here's the spiffy, you guys. Hotels make their money from events in 3 ways: from the room rental, from food and beverage, and from the sleeping rooms. So when you are negotiating with a hotel, they're either going to want you to spend money on food and beverage, or in the sleeping rooms, you know, have your attendees spend overnight, or I'm sorry, sleep overnight in the venue, or you're going to have to pay more money for the room rental. So there's this big pendulum of negotiation that's going on when you're working with an event. So you want to take a look at your meals. How are you planning? If you're going to include food in your event, that's going to probably almost double your budget, I can tell you for sure. The room rental, you've got your audio-visual needs. So when somebody asks how much is an event going to cost, that's a really kind of question. So you want to, again, you're going to have to take a look at what kind of equipment do you have, what kind of equipment are you going to need, how many individuals are going to be in the event. And so the first thing I'm going to tell you is give me a call, let's have a conversation, and we'll figure it out. The other thing is to recognize that you're going to have to be flexible, and you're going to want to make sure that you've got your parameters in place before you start, or to be flexible about your parameters one way or another. Either you've got to know exactly what you want so that you can go in and negotiate firmly, or you're going to have to be a little bit flexible so that you can go back and forth until you find the right happy medium. I will say for a 3-day event, looking at about, let's say, 50 people with, you know, butts in seats, and looking at, like, say, maybe one meal for the attendees and the meals for the rest of your team for about 15 people. I would say on an event you're looking at about $25,000 or $30,000 with travel and the other kind of expenses. So, but that's, you know, that's like not really stuck in cement there. Is that how the saying goes, Paul? How did my mom say that?
Not really cast in concrete. I've heard that.
Yeah, something like that. My mom had such good sayings, I can never remember them when I need them. only later. So the expenses are one of those things that you can spend a lot. I mean, when I go into an event, my daughter used to tell me that I can get a quarter out of a dime. So I would really go into it with, you know, that kind of mentality. How can we get the biggest impact with the least amount of money? What can we do with the smallest budget possible?
Got it.
And you live and learn. You know, if you have to rent your AV equipment, hotels charge megabucks for that. So I'll tell you that I used to have, you know, one of those plastic little filing things, the 3 or 4 drawer plastic rolling carts that you have. I used to have one of those with almost everything that you can imagine in an office inside of that thing. I had my sewing kit, pens, scissors, tape, magic markers. I had a mirror. I had this little sewing kit that I took with me because at one event, one of the speakers, his buttons came off of his shirt. The only shirt he had, because he flew in for the day and he was leaving that night. So I had to go in the back and sew his buttons on really quick. Otherwise he would have had his hairy chest there hanging all out. So it depends on what you take, you know. So I don't know that I really answered that succinctly, Paul. Hopefully that helps.
Well, I think it was a pretty darn good start on kind of a high-level budget for an event. If you think in the $15,000 to $25,000 range to put on an event, you know, that's going to have 50 or 100 people in it in the room, it gives you some sort of an idea about what you need to charge for the event itself. And here's a quick question. If I want to do an event, do I plan on making money on the event? Or do we really make the money on the things that we sell at the event? Do we have a mindset that the event itself is break even?
Yes, you know, you really most, I should say most, and typically that is the mindset that most businesses have when they go into an event. Hopefully you're charging enough to cover half or most of your expenses before you get there. You know, some of them, I know that some individuals really have achieved great success with having one of those freebie events at the beginning, and then you sell something out of the back end and they make all their money there. So there are different, you know, different models and different ways of looking at that, but typically the mindset is exactly that. I'm going to make most of my money out of the back end, which is why it's always that answer or that question, am I satisfying the why we're here? What's the purpose? Why are we here? Yep, absolutely. Hope that helps.
It does. So, you know, if I were to engage your services, Ms. May, in helping me plan my next event, where do we get started? In addition to those budgets that you talked about for $15,000 to $25,000 or so for an offsite event like that, does it include the event manager that I need to hire to just do all this stuff well?
That includes some of the cost for your event manager. I know that you know, sometimes there are different ways to get compensated. I know that I have a basic rate schedule that I charge depending on how many days, how much of, you know, am I going to help with sales, am I going to help with managing, am I going to help in the creation of the event. So depending on the different pieces, I would say that the compensation would vary. I would say that many times when you're putting on an event, some of your expenses, if not a good portion of them, can be postponed for payment till after the event. So sometimes, and I probably shouldn't say this with a CFO on the call like Paul, but sometimes, you know, you can put down payments on the event space and the other things, and then pay the rest of it at the end of the event. So there are a little bit of flexibility with your expenses for an event. So do you have to have that 15 or 20K in your pocket ready to spend before you do an event? No. And I've also, I mean, we've done events at some of those boutique hotels for $500 or $1,000. So you can keep the cost down on your event. Again, it comes down to the why. Do I want to have an event in the back of Denny's if I am having all these CEOs and VIPs from Fortune 500 companies? Probably not. So, yeah.
Awesome.
It's a good place to start.
I got another question for you here. If I want to, what about recording the event? I mean, I know that for every event there you got to have some sort of audiovisual equipment. You at least have to have, you know, a mic for the person at the front of the room. Well, most of the times you do, but you certainly do if you want to record the event. And if the room is any bigger than about, you know, 20 feet by 30 feet or 40 feet, you kind of need to have some sort of a microphone system with speakers at it. My guess is that the audiovisual requirements for an event that you are recording and kind of wanting to sell online perhaps thereafter would be significantly higher than those that you just wanted to make sure that the experience of the audience was really good. How much extra does it cost when I want to record the event and have, you know, multiple cameras and all the right lighting and all that stuff?
You know, one of the first events that I did with this one guy, we recorded with a Sony camcorder that was propped up on a bench with some books to hold it in place in the back of the room, and we just made sure that the audio cables were, and I could be wrong about this because I'm not an AV techie, but something about the way the wires were hooked up and the way they were plugged in made sure that we were recording the audio as well as the video. And then we, you know, they took that, oh, I know what it was. The dang cable was plugged into the camera. That's all it was. and then we made the product from that. So it wasn't that much, it wasn't all that expensive to do. It was not fantastic Hollywood type quality, but that guy used that product for over 3 years before he re-recorded it, more professionally when he had the budget to do so. So there are different ways to get that done. And again, I've gotten quotes from some AV guys who wanted $25,000 to record a 3-day event, and another guy who quoted the guy 5,000. So it's a huge range, and I will tell you to just do your due diligence and ask fantastic questions, call references, and get somebody on your team who understands the verbiage and the language and what the heck the techie is trying to tell you.
Yeah, I like that advice a lot. I just got finished going to a 4-day event from Brendan Burchard at the World's Greatest Speaker Training, which I was really delighted with. And I love the way that they pulled off that event here at a major hotel only 5 minutes away from my home, which made it extremely convenient for me. They did a fantastic job of pulling it off. It looked like there were 600 people or so in the room. They had, 4 or 5 major speakers. It looked like they had a staff of about 15 people. I'm guessing 4 or 5 of them were paid, and a lot of them were volunteer staff as well. So you can get into some pretty large events. I don't know what the largest event is that you've ever been to or worked with. It's been a while since I've been to a large one. I think the largest one I've been to in the last 4 or 5 years only had about 1,200 people in it. But there can be some pretty large events. What's the largest event you've ever worked, Steffi?
The largest one was were 2 events that I did at the same time. It was the same event funnel, so to speak, but one was the entry level and one was the higher level. Mm-hmm. So in one event there was 150 people, and in the other event there were 350, so 500 people total, 2 events at one time. One of the events was 4 days and the other one was 3 days. So I was there for 6 days putting on that event. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I did insist on a massage at the end of that one, which I did get as part of my compensation package.
I love it. I got one more question, and then well, actually, before I do that, I want to give a quick little announcement from our sponsor here. Here at the Hoyt Management Group, we are absolutely passionate about doing everything we can to help you accelerate the growth of your business, to experience more peace and harmony in your life, reduce the struggle rate that we see a lot of business owners have. We are very focused on helping you get very clear, stay focused, and grow faster. Getting clear is about having a really good, firm messaging around exactly where you want to go and how you want to get there and why you want to get there. And staying focused is week by week activity with us as your coaches to help making sure that you and your entire team is focused on the top 3 or 5 goals that you want to accomplish, every single day. So we'd be happy to have conversations with you about that. Please pick up the phone, send us an email. If you've got any challenges or obstacles in your businesses or any opportunities that you're pursuing, we'd love to have the opportunity to talk to you about how we can help you get clear, stay focused, and grow faster. With that, I'm going to go back to our questions here just a little bit. I think I got about one more here. And by all means, the people who are listening to the call live, please type your questions into the chat log and we will get to them directly. I got one more that came in earlier. It is, I've been working on a presentation for an event that I've wanted to do for almost 2 years now, and I'm still not finished. Can you help me?
Oh, absolutely. Of course we can. It actually sounds like you're in the fun part. Helping to create and finesse the events at this stage that you're in is really the fun part. This is where you get to create, where you get to brainstorm, where you get to think about all the fun things you can do at an event. So absolutely I can help. And Paul can too. We do it as a team. Give us a call and we'll help you out. It really is a cool stage that you're, when you're in the creation stage, there's so many opportunities and so many possibilities. And when you look at the event as a product and you're at this creation stage, you can start building in the different pieces to reinforce the why. I mean, and what I'm trying to say is that, again, everything that you do at an event should meet that one purpose, you know, the why. Why are you here? And when you're creating the event, looking at that final result, what is it that I want? What result do I want? When you're creating, you have the ability to make sure that everything you're creating, every word you speak, every paragraph that goes into your PowerPoint or other presentation is going to take you one step closer to meeting your goal and your purpose. So, yep, I can help you. It's fun. I enjoy this part. I enjoy events. They are, as I've said, they give me an opportunity to flex my OCD muscles. And besides, I think that you'll find in the events that I've done in the past, most of the rooms were filled with probably 70% men. So I get paid for bossing around rooms full of men. I mean, what else? How,
I love it.
how much more fun can I have?
I think that sounds fantastic. Well, I'm not seeing a lot of other questions come in from our attendees, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. First of all, a big thank you for Stephanie for managing the call today and providing us with information from her experience on event management. I think you did a fantastic job of helping us, think about our next event, especially the why of the event, the purpose of the event, the upsells, the cross-sells, how much money it might cost, and what do we think about this strategically as part of our product funnel, I thought was really, really excellent advice. So for those of you who are listening live or listening to the recording, if there's anything that we can help you do when it comes to thinking about your next event, whether it be a virtual event for, that you're just going to put on like a webinar, or, a massive 3 or 4 day project, we'd be honored to have the conversation with you about how we can support you in accomplishing the goals that you have for yourself. Our next week office hours will be on Monday, November the 28th. I think we're going to do live group coaching there. As I said when we first started the call today, that we are looking at a totally different format for office hours coming up here at the end of this year, and certainly by the start of next year. So for those of you listening in, now's the time to go to the YouTube channel. Now's the time to go to our other resources, to log into the Tribe area and listen to some of your favorite office hours recordings again, or some that you haven't listened to yet for the first time, because very quickly we're going to repackage that and redo our entire product line around these office hours recordings. And we look forward to supporting you for that way in 2017. And speaking of 2017, it's coming up pretty quickly. If you have yet to create your strategic plans, your budgets, your tactical plans for 2017, we'd be honored to talk to you about how we can do that. And stay tuned to your emails, because we'll be giving you some more information on planning for next year here in the next couple of weeks or so. And with that, hang on just a second. I got one comment I want to, it was a nice comment from Michael who says, nice to put a face with the voice. Yeah, once again, Stephanie, I thought you did a fantastic job. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us on this office hours presentation. And until we meet again, this is Paul Hoyt and Stephanie May wishing you a most marvelous and prosperous day. Bye-bye.